You too. That's fine. So we'll. I think it's just us. So we'll wait a little bit.
We'll wait for the late bloomers because everybody gonna blame it on the what's it? The time change.
Yeah. That.
Daylight saving time.
Daylight savings. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
They still do that. Why they still do that?
Okay, so I need to turn off my notifications. So hold on, y'all. So don't nobody call me in the middle of this. It knocked me out. Come on, phone. There we go. Okay, because that sure will happen. And when you on a Zoom call and your phone call comes in, it will knock you right out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We are ready. It's 8:00. Let's go.
So while we're waiting for everybody to come on, I will tell you guys my interview with Najee last night. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, God.
Speak on it. What happened?
Good. Okay, so, I always ask people about their journeys.
Mm-hmm.
And how did they become one, with the dream and the passion in their heart. And so he told me that basically he did music, he was in college, he had gotten married, and at the beginnings of it, like he really had to just step away from it. It didn't seem like it was taking off for him. And then he had a wife and kid. So he just was like, forget it. So he went into banking. Najee was a banker, right? And so he said that he had started this banking gig, gave up on music, and he said he was walking down the street and he ran into one of his old classmates. Was like, "What you been up to? Haven't seen you around school, whatever." Told him, like, I'm done with that music thing, and he was like, "Nope. You're going to, get back into music, start, booking you some gigs." And he said, before you know it, he was making more money doing music that he finally quit the banking job.
Yeah.
And then he said he was out gigging and somebody from Shaka Khan was in the room.
Wow.
She was looking for a horn player. And he went on tour with Shaka.
And that's it.
Wow.
And it just,
and
the next thing you know, he had, through that, had a contract, first album, like double platinum, like.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah.
I was like, so hold up. Now he said that woman that he quit his job for, because he had the family and whatever, and he said he had no qualms about it. Like, he a man, that's what he had to do. He said he ended up losing her, but the music career growing.
Wow.
And so he did remarry and he's happy or whatever. And then it was just like everything unfolding. And so I was like, so what can you say about like your journey of that fork in the road, where you was about to give up on it and then it worked? He said, I believe that if it's what you're supposed to do, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're not going to miss it.
Right.
Regardless if you decide to take some left turns or whatever. He's like, it's for you. You're supposed to do it. And I said, did you ever imagine, like, what if you had said no to music that time? You would have missed out on Najee. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's like, he said, you know what? It's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I said, now that is interesting.
Yeah, it's that's why, it's our choice. Like it's God gives us that free will. And like you said, he was gonna be that regardless. It's just a matter of when was he gonna take that opportunity. He could have stayed banking for another 10 years and then another opportunity, so we got to take those opportunities when they come and present to us and not second guess them.
Yes. Yeah, it was such a good, like, the conversation just really got into that whole being on purpose. And
Mm-hmm.
he said that about your fears. He's like, if you stay in your fears long enough, you're going to confront them.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that one of the reasons he had left music because he was confronting the fear of not being able to take care of his family.
Yeah.
And he was just like, if you stay in that fear too long, you're going to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like you're
Got no
you're
choice.
creating, right?
Yeah.
You're going to actually make it happen. And so then at the end of the interview, I asked him, I said, so what do you do? Like creatively outside of music, you know, that kind of, I know that making music is what you're supposed to do, but what inspires you? And he said that he went to school to be a pilot.
Be a what?
A pilot?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And he said he likes to fly.
Yeah.
And he's like, and yeah, he's like, and one of my classmates was Russell Simmons.
Ah.
He was surrounded by greatness. I'm telling you, it's your circle.
Like, what?
He was surrounded by greatness. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of time with them, but he's just one of those people that's just like full of stories.
Yeah.
Of just how everything continued to unfold. So
yeah.
We gotta trust the process, right?
Yes.
Gotta trust the process.
We got Miss Latoya on the line with us. I don't know who
Hi,
she
Latoya.
is. Hello, Latoya.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. We're just kind of just chatting, waiting for a few more people to come on. I'll give it to about, what do you guys think? 7:10, 7:15? You think that'll be too late? Or
7:10.
7:15? Okay.
7:10. 7:10.
7:10.
7:10? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about what you were saying, Cheryl, from the standpoint, you know, I think each of us, and it will never leave you alone. You have this thing that you were made for.
Yeah.
And it will not leave you alone. He tried to pursue a dream that wasn't his. And he had to come back to that very thing.
Yeah.
He said it left him. No, it never left. You tried to move past it and you couldn't, because it kept coming back to you. And now you in that vein that's truly his. And Lord knows, I've been a fan of his for years. I'm like, I actually saw him in LA when I used to go out there to the different venues. And I mean, live, he was great. I mean, got a chance to chat with him for a little bit. Real down to earth.
Wow.
Right, very down to earth, right?
Very down to earth.
You would walk into a get together, have the bomb conversation with Najee talking about wisdom and music and life or whatever, and he might have told you his real name, you know, not his middle name. And then you would have left there and somebody would have told you, oh, do you know who such and such was?
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
I like
no
that.
cares, not just regular.
That's right. And he's from the island, if I'm not mistaken, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's my island, people. I'm telling you, we down to earth.
Down to earth. It was really, really, really.
I mean, wow, I still got some of this stuff, and boy, I forget the name of that. That may be the one you talked about, but it was woo.
My favorite one is Tokyo Blue. Like,
yeah.
He's a bad boy.
Yeah, this was back in the 90s. One was really, really, I forget it was one like he was on a beach or something.
Yes.
Is that it?
No, that's not it. But I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, he's
Hey, Miss Amika.
Yeah.
Hey, Amika. Okay, I'll say this and we'll get started. What I walked away from is the authenticity in your heart. And when you are not like authentic, like genuinely authentic with yourself, you
Right.
just end up on some of the craziest roads.
That's right.
You just do. You just do.
Yes,
Right?
yes,
You got to
yeah.
be honest with what's in your
Yeah.
heart. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I want to welcome everybody tonight. I'm excited to be here. I am Cheryl Dunlap, and I'm going to talk tonight about vision in relationships. And so I do want to give you a heads up that if you have paper and pencil, get some paper and pencil while I'm talking. At the end of what I'm going to share, I'm going to have an assignment for you that we're going to do together. Very simple. Y'all ready? Y'all ready?
Oh.
Okay.
Ready.
Okay.
Ready.
Already. I've been working on this, so I'm like actually really excited to deliver it. All right. So I chose vision for relationships because it is actually something that I'm struggling with, creating a vision for relationships. So I thought I would take you guys along my journey and what I have discovered along the way, specifically in this space. So I looked up the definition of vision, and it says the state of being able to see or think about the future with imagination or wisdom. The biblical definition of vision is a vision that comes from God, like specifically from God, right? So, how amazing this month of March has been hanging out in this space. Having no idea that when I chose this topic for this particular Thursday, that I was going to be prepared in this group to speak on it. So I'm going to start out with Miss Naomi, who just wrecked me.
Yeah.
She just wrecked me with that waiting, the waiting season, like talking about the waiting season. And what really got me towards the end of her speech was when the imposter comes before the promise. And I was on my bathroom floor, sitting on my bathroom floor, because I just needed to be in that space, and I pray in my bathroom. And I just lost it. But let me tell you, earlier that day, because when God is trying to get a message to you, you hear it in different spaces, and you hear it consistently in different spaces.
Yes.
So earlier that morning, I was on a prayer call that was talking about the waiting room. And they used the example of being like in a doctor's office waiting room or an emergency waiting room. And what goes on in this waiting room. And when you're in the waiting room, sometimes it feels like other people go ahead of you in the waiting room, like you all are there. Let's say you're in the emergency room or you're in the doctor's office waiting room. Everybody doesn't get called by the order that they showed up. They get called, right, by the order that their need. But sometimes we get frustrated that people get called ahead of us, but we really don't know what they're there for, right? We all there for different things, but only the people behind the doors, like we really know like what's going on, right?
The system, yeah.
Right. And so as I started thinking about that, it's easy for us to be judged.
Right.
You know, if maybe we're being mistreated or we're being looked over, or like maybe something is not really fair, because Lord knows I've been guilty of that. And we really think that we are there many times because we need to see a doctor or we need to see a nurse because we're not feeling good. And so I was going to use, I've been having over the past couple of these years a consistent ear, nose, and throat issue that they really can't get to the root of, can't find out if I'm allergic to something or if I got some kind of infection or something. Like nothing ever works, but it continuously keeps coming back. And so I go to the doctor to the urgent care, whatever, and I'm looking for this remedy. We're trying to search for this antibiotic and this antihistamine that's going to like knock this out. But it doesn't ever happen. And it doesn't really happen because it's emotional. It's emotional, it's stress, it's emotional. And so, of course, when I have this ear, nose, and throat, it's an eye, you know, the sticky eyes and that whole deal. I truly and absolutely believe it's because it's an issue with my vision and it's an issue with my hearing. And because I'm not doing it in the supernatural, it's kind of showing up in the natural to kind of give me this
Wow.
message.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So while in the waiting room, our discussion was about what do you do in the waiting room? Do you become impatient? Do you get upset? Do you judge? Like, what do you do? Do you pray for the people that are in the room, even though nobody knows when they're going to get called? Do you pray for the people in the room? Or do you just like get really, really upset when you're in the room? Or do you even evaluate if you need to be in the room? And so when I thought about the evaluation of being in the room, how many times when you're sick and you call the doctor for the appointment, you feel horrible. And then when you get the appointment, you start feeling a little bit better. And then by the time you get to the doctor's office, you have none of the symptoms that
None
you
of the
had.
symptoms.
None of the symptoms, right? When you first called the doctor, but then you still get a prescription. And then you get that prescription and sometimes you decide, maybe I'm not going to take that prescription. I'll just maybe hold on to it for another time.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's going to keep coming back because you're looking for, I'm looking for a temporary fix so that I can get this over with so that I can get back to what I'm doing, not taking the time to really find out why is this reoccurring. If they can't find out anything is wrong, then it definitely, you know, is an internal thing, right?
Right.
So in the waiting room, many times we believe that the healing is possible for other people, but we don't necessarily believe that the healing is possible for us. While we're in the waiting room, right? And so when Naomi said that we have to look over, like we really have to like understand and just check out who we are in that waiting season to do so. So I actually reached out to her after words and I was just like, you know what? You said too many things that hit me like a ton of bricks. This is
Sure
why
did.
this is what I'm going through. Like she really, she wrecked me that particular day. And so this is some of the advice that she gave me, not even that was leading up until last week. She told me to look over my last heartbreak and examine every single solitary thing that happened in my last relationship. Right? And so I did. I started doing that, and then we had Miss Rodman come in last week talking about broken pieces. So between Naomi and Robin, I started looking over my broken pieces and looking over my broken pieces in a way that
Mr. Joe, you're not on mute. I just didn't want you to.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So I started looking over my broken pieces in like a way that I had never done before. And I really realized that the inner child in me was still hurting. Like after I started sifting through the patterns and having the same experiences over and over and over again, that it was really going back to a place that I really was not willing. I was not willing to visit. All right, so I got ahead of myself. All right, here we go, girl. All right, so I discovered that I had a pattern. And I had a pattern of, this is so hard to say. I had a pattern of dating men that were in transition. In transition. So they were either just broken up with someone, just divorced, just widowed, like in transition, and they really wasn't ready to be in a relationship, right? And so I'm like that. You can, it's gonna be good. You are right, you a great man. You know, I become the whole cheerleader, whatever.
Cheerleader.
Right. But
Uh-huh.
when he heals, he doesn't stay.
He doesn't stay.
And he goes to the next woman and he marries the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So I prepare him for the next situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I had to like own up that this is a pattern. I had to also own up that I didn't have enough examples, and this is not blaming. I just didn't have enough examples of what healthy love looked like. Like,
Right.
it's not that I didn't have them, but I just didn't have enough of them, of what I felt like was healthy that I could pattern. I also had to face that even though I wanted to get married, I would see people who would get married and I'd see all the excitement of finding the one, falling in love, and people getting married, and then a couple years down the road, they're not happy. Then that would kind of make me scared, right? Like, I don't know about that, right? I also had to face that there were so many disappointments in my life that I didn't heal from the disappointment. So every time there was another disappointment, I just tacked it on, and I would kind of feel like, I want to get married, but I don't know, because it seems like this is my experience, and my experience is not matching up to what I would really, like in a relationship. Um, so many disappointments. All right. And it just began to shape me. And even in all my ambitions in my career, in other areas, this area of relationships was just an area that just seemed like it never, ever worked out right. Like, no matter how much I tried, no matter how much I tried to work on myself, I still would find myself attracting the same kind of guys. And so when your trust becomes challenged, then the trust in the relationship the distrust in the relationships began to overflow into the not trusting God with this area of my life and not bringing him into it. So then, to protect me and the little girl, I just decide, you know what? I'm going to start, building up this wall and becoming very, very guarded. Because if my married folks ain't happy and my single people who don't have nobody ain't happy, like, I don't want to be unhappy. So I'm going to figure out how to be single and be happy. And if it comes, it comes. But if it doesn't come, it doesn't come. Another safety. Another safety. And so with this, you lose so much of your childlike faith. That God will and can heal you and bless you. It starts to affect your discernment. Sometimes it makes you open to things that you should not be open to. And then I would create a list. And I'd create a list of all the qualities that I wanted, but I never kept that dear and close to my heart. So I would still just be open to dating people and not really following any kind of checklist or whatever, just being open and hoping like maybe this guy is the one. So, so guess what? When you don't have a vision, when you don't know what you want, but you know what you don't want, but you don't know what you want. I got a whole list of things that I don't want, right? And we're all Christians, so we know that we want, someone that loves God, right? And we want someone who is a good person, and a person who, has stability, So there's very basic qualities that I think we all have in common, that we want, in a mate. But when it came to creating a vision for myself, I really began to realize that I don't necessarily have the answers on how to create um, a healthy vision. But what I do know is that it is different for every single person. So I feel like we should take some time and spend some time with God tonight. It's going by fast. Spend some time with God and and create our vision.
Okay.
Um, so with that, I'm going to share some scriptures that I came up with that will help us to get into the space. And I want us, if you want to, you can turn off your cameras if you want to. I want you to get comfortable, and I want us to go into prayer and ask God to lead us into giving us a vision. And within that, I'm going to throw out a couple of just writing prompts for you. So when you go into prayer and ask God, if you already have a list, resubmit your list. If you don't have a vision, ask Him to give you a vision. Not just for the marriage, but the purpose of the marriage. Who are you supposed to be in that marriage? Who is that person going to be in that marriage? What does love look like? What does it feel like? How do you receive it? How do you give it, right? That if you got some things in your heart, ask God to restore your heart. And Psalms 51, speaks of asking God for a clean heart.
Mm-hmm.
If it's wisdom that you need, James speaks of asking for wisdom and God will give it to you liberally, right?
Right.
If you're struggling with faith in relationships, we have to remind ourselves that faith is things hoped for and evidence of things that are unseen, right? If
Right.
there's an inner child in you that needs to be healed, then ask God to speak to that too. And so my hope today, after I read these scriptures, I'm going to give us like maybe a good 20 minutes or so and check in. If you guys want to share, I would totally and absolutely appreciate if you share. But if you do not share, that is fine. It is something that you walk away from. Um, but I'm curious collectively what we come up with as visions, of a healthy relationship. So as I was doing the research, um, I'm going to share these scriptures. So if at this point you want to turn off your cameras, if at this point you want to get comfortable and pull out your pen and paper, and I'm going to read these scriptures and then prompt you guys into prayer. Habakkuk 2:2, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that we may run, that he may run that readeth. Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. Habakkuk 2:3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it may tarry, wait for it, because it surely will come and not tarry. Jeremiah 3:3, call unto me, and I will answer thee, and show thee great and mighty things which thou knowest. Proverbs 7:3, bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the tablet of thine heart. Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace, not of evil, to give you an expected end. I pray that in the name of Jesus, that He quiets our minds and our spirit so that we can hear from you and that you share with us the vision that you have for us, that we are able in this space to remove ourselves and allow you to speak, and that we are able to write it down or communicate it with the group. In Jesus' name, I pray. And I'll be back.
Hey Tracy, we're writing. Miss Cheryl has us pause for a minute to write down our visions based on some of the Bible scriptures that she just quoted us to do. So that's why it's silent for that. That's well, we're here.
Thank you, Shelley. So
You're welcome.
if you have a piece of paper, and I hate to, it's supposed to be quiet time, but we're just getting in the presence of God and asking Him to share a vision of healthy relationship. And we're going to share it in about maybe 10 more minutes.
Hey guys, are we having a problem with the volume tonight?
Yep, that's me. In my head, I'm thinking that you love me. Did you?
No.
No,
Hey,
there's no
Mr.
problem.
Joe.
There's no
Huh?
problem with the, there's no
No.
problem with,
No,
Okay,
we-
some of the ladies are saying they can't hear tonight.
yes, because we're in an exercise.
Oh,
I'll
okay,
explain
sorry.
it again. Okay, okay,
Sorry.
Yeah.
okay. All right, so
we're
this
in the
is
exercise.
Cheryl. We're in the middle of an exercise. So the exercise is, if you're just coming on, we are silent, spending time with God and asking him to give us a vision of a healthy relationship, the relationship that he would have for us. Or I'm going to give you a couple writing prompts. Vision for a relationship, any questions that you may have, if you have a list of qualities that you have for a mate, to resubmit that list to him. If you need a clean heart, if you need healing, if you need wisdom, just take this time to go before God and ask him to share with you, and write it down. And hopefully here in the next, like maybe 5 to 10 minutes, we can share what he's given us as for a healthy relationship that he would have for us. Does anyone need more time?
No, I'm good.
Everyone ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, you ready? Okay. Turn my camera back on. Would anybody, how was that experience? Just we'll get to the details, but has anyone ever taken to go before God with pen and paper and hear what he had to say? Has anyone done this before?
Let's see.
You have done it before? Okay.
I have.
Robin, you have? Joe, anyone else?
I'm sorry, yes.
Oh, yeah. You have done it before?
Yeah, just, personally.
Personally? Yeah.
Mhm.
Collective. Okay.
Write down qualities.
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Is that Faye?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Faye.
Hey.
Okay, Faye. Okay, you've done it before. Hey.
I have to.
So in doing, yeah, okay. Oh, Tamara, you have done so too. Okay, so I'm the newbie here. And I'm the newbie here because this has been, for me, working my way to this point. I think I lost my faith so much in relationships. It was just hard. It was hard to present, I've been slowly allowing God into this part of my life. You never did this before? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was mad with God. I'm just gonna tell the truth. I was mad with God. I didn't think it was fair. The things that had happened to me before, I didn't trust him. So I just didn't let him in. And I've always felt I got this, right? And then that day happens when you realize, you don't have this. You need to go before him. And yeah, so this whole preparing for today really has been preparing me for this. And everything that I shared earlier was just God's way of pulling back the layers so that I can begin to go in front of him. And so I'll be the first one to share. Worthiness was the first word that I heard.
For yourself?
For myself. Mm-hmm. Yep, for myself. Worthiness. There's two fears. There's a fear that it might not happen, and there's a fear, I guess, that it will not happen, or that I don't feel worthy, that maybe God is just not gonna bless me in this area of my life. And there's this feeling of unworthiness of him blessing me in this particular area of my life. And it brought back, while I was spending this time with God, it brought back a conversation that I had with my pastor about relationships and why I wasn't married and if I really wanted to be married. And I told him, I said, well, I really do want to be married, but I don't see, like I said earlier, I don't see enough examples. I don't see enough people that are happy. And why would I be different? Why would he send me someone and I would be happy when I see so many people that are not happy? And he said, why not you? Why not you? Why you could be that person. What God has for Cheryl is for Cheryl. And you can't base on what you see with other people as the possibility of what you will and will not have, right?
Right.
It's something's going wrong with the Zoom. I'm sorry, I've done this before. Something's quirky going on with the Zoom on my end. I just had to log back in. Okay. It may not be saying much tonight. Okay, that's fine. Thank you for sharing. So it brought to mind like my mindset and how my mindset is in the way of me even seeing the possibilities. So that's one thing that came up. I have to unlearn some of the bad messages that are that have been saying. I grew up in an era where I was told these are things that you have to do to get a husband. You need to cook and you need to clean and your hair needs to be long and you need to keep your figure and just all of these things that you have to be, in order to and if you don't have these things, that maybe your chances are not, um, hmm. When I thought about what it like, I'm just gonna throw a couple of days and then I'll let you guys talk. When I thought about what it felt like, and it really took me a minute to get there because feeling it is kind of sad. It's exciting, but it's happy, but it's also sad because it's like, wow, I want that feeling, but having that feeling is making me realize, something that I don't have, but that I want to know in that person's voice how they're feeling. Just in a simple word, how you doing? And the way that they respond, I'm doing good, that I know exactly what's going on. That maybe it's not good, they need something. I want to be able to, it is very, very important to me, but I want to be able to listen to that person's heartbeat, which is extremely, extremely important to me. And I'll say the last one I'll share, and then I'll allow some other people to share, that I want to know that I know that I know this is the person for me. Not taking a chance, not wishing, not trying to make it be like whatever that feeling that God puts between two people, that they know that they're supposed to be together for the rest of their lives. I want to know what that feeling is like, to not have to, like, to really go on my first last date. Like, really, like, to know that that is the person for me. I'm going to open it up if anybody else would like to share, if they would like to share what God communicated to them.
What was the first part of that? Because as you know, I came in late. What was the first part of? Can you just
to share in this space what God had shared with you, in the space that we took to hear from God what a healthy relationship is for you?
Oh, okay. Okay.
You just want to hear what you heard. Or if you've come on late and you've done this before, if you want to share. I don't know if this is something that people feel is maybe a little too personal. I don't know. But I just thought that that's what God put on my heart to do today.
Let's see, Cheryl. Let's see. Where to start? Well, I'll just say this. For me, because I have been married before, but at a very young age, I didn't have, I mean, the only person that, or the only I don't want to say that was 100% healthy, but I mean, it was healthy, the healthiest that I had to look at with my parents, to get a base, like if you want to say, get a baseline, as far as healthy relationship. But I think that as you develop your own barometer for relationship, you might find out for yourself that the image or the example that you had really might not have been healthy in some areas, right? So, and then I had to, look at my own marriage and determine from that relationship what was healthy for me and what was not healthy for me. And then also look at it in the respect of, it was not just him, it was me too. So it was our healthy, unhealthy, medium healthy, in between, whatever it was. I mean, I had a part in developing that relationship, as well. And then looking at me being the responsible person in the relationship, what could I have done to change the end state of that relationship? What could I have done? Because I've come to the realization that in a relationship, you can't point fingers, at the other person, because it starts within yourself.
Yeah.
It sure does.
And so with that said, I do believe that the first step, I mean, for me, I could say for me, in developing a healthy relationship is that you have to have a friendship.
That's,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the right there, that's the first step. We have to become friends. And I think that with friends, it might not be to the point of dating. It might be just conversations and different conversations, well-rounded conversations. You talk and you dialogue, and you might share, about who you are as a person and what things you like to do. Then in that journey, you start to find out where that person is and how that person is fitting in with you as a friend, and then also not only fitting in as a friend, but you start to see the similarities. Or not similarities, in the relationship. Not saying that you have to be alike totally, because you're different, two different people, but then you start to develop from that point. And then you start to grow. It's almost like you're planting flowers or anything else in a garden, and you're tending the garden. You're putting the nutrients in the soil. That's that friendship. Putting all the good things in there, and then planting, and then fertilizing it, watering it. Through building the relationship, and in that, and I'm talking from where I am right now in my relationship, and from where it started and where it is like right now. And so, with that, when you're starting to build and everything, then you start putting those check marks of what you went to God and say, I want in my relationship, I want my purpose partner to have honor. to honor me, to to see me not as faith, but see me as God sees me. That I'm God's precious daughter, and and through that honor, you start to see where he might be honorable in other areas. You find out about their background, find out about their relationship with their mother. If they have children, you start to find out about, I can say that my friend, and he is my friend, but we're past that. And so, he has 2 daughters. And so I listen to him and how he honors his daughters. You start gathering that data, that all that information. You hear about how he loves God, how his walk has been, where has he been, with the Lord. And how did he deal with some issues that might have been challenging in his life? Did he make right choices, right decisions? And if he didn't, how did he rectify from, how did he heal from that? So you start gathering all this information, and then, and then you go and you develop, from there. And I don't want to take a whole lot of time, but I thought it might be good to just to share that as a beginning, to kind of give like the stages, what I'm saying. And I could say this, I want to be, I would say it's a ministry.
It is.
It's a purpose. Excuse me. And please forgive me for being late, because I took a nap. I normally don't take naps. I took a nap today. And after 7, I'm like, oh my God.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's okay. I want to be, and being an older woman. Okay, I'm not young. Children are not in my view at all. Grandkids, but not kids. It's not in my view. So my view or my desire is to be ministered by him to me holistically.
Right.
It's a really me and him situation, right? It's not no kids, it's nobody else. It's just me and him. So I want that man, or for him to be able to minister to me physically, relationally. I want to have some intellectual conversations. I want not just Christianity. Just just life. Emotionally, I want him to deal with me from an emotional standpoint, and also spiritual. So it's those things. And then I want to be able to be vulnerable. I want him to be able to be vulnerable and deal with situations that we might have in our relationship, either positive, negative, to be vulnerable, to sit down and talk to me. So we're going to church together right now through a relationship series. And after church, we go through what was being ministered to us, and we talk about it. We dialogue about it. Of how did that? What are your top? We're asking these questions, and we're talking it through. And so, I for me, I think we're in a very healthy place right now. In regards to development, developing where we are and understanding where we are. in the process, and we haven't put a timeline on, or anything saying, okay, some people say in 6 months, blah, blah, blah. But I can understand that time could be a situation for some. How long do you invest, in this? But I think you have to allow God to work in you, and then him, and then put this thing together, and put this relationship together. And sometimes, and I'll testify, I'll be transparent in this. Some things that we have walked through one time, in one period of time, we took like a 30 to 45 day break to hear God. We didn't see each other. We text each other, but we didn't do a whole lot of talking. We didn't do a whole lot. We didn't see each other, whatever. And I was kind of like, huh? What? And it was really him. It wasn't my suggestion, it was his suggestion. So I had to step back and let him take the lead. Let him take the lead on this. And I said, okay, I trust you, and I'm going to follow through. I'm going to do this. And that was a first. Because when I got married, I love God, but I didn't have this personal relationship that I have with him right now.
Right.
I wasn't there.
Right.
So this whole relationship is built on something totally different. It's a whole different. And I'm like, okay. So I said, okay, God. All right. So I'm gonna trust you, God, and I'm gonna trust that him being the man we're gonna walk. I'm gonna let him be the leader, be the guide. I step back and let him, take over. So I'm a hush, and I'll let someone else, talk. But why you laughing, Joe?
And I'm just listening to you. That's all.
No, it's good. It's really good. And what I'm doing is I'm taking notes, because this is going to be a collective list that we come up with this.
Yeah.
Latoya said, I just asked the Lord to make my vision, his vision he has for me in a relationship clear. Give me clarity and understanding and the ability to obey. That's good.
Yeah.
Then I was really specific of what I want in a mate. And I asked God to help me be still and wait. Oh, just went out. Be still and wait. So in this time, I'm working on me. That's awesome.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm writing
Thank
this.
you.
Is anyone going to go? That's anything else you'd like to add to that, Latoya? Where's that it?
That was it.
Very good. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
I'll share a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for me, a healthy relationship, I'm sure this goes without saying because of the kind of group we're in, but the Lord, he has to be in the center of the relationship.
Right.
Just, that's just, and of course, back in the day that you think I didn't care about that, but even though, two Christians, but it still wasn't. So that now, I've learned that has to be that way. And it's funny because I was having this conversation today in the car, and I don't even know why I went there, but I told the Lord, I said, I'm ready to submit myself because I can't say that a little while ago, I would actually make that statement, like I'm ready to submit myself, because I mean, just personally doing a study of what submission is, and it's not as bad as it sounds like, you know. So I would have to be in a place, of trust where I would trust enough to submit myself. That not that you know, because we hurt each other unintentionally sometimes, but in a place where I know that this person wouldn't intentionally try to damage me or hurt me in any way. So that, and then communication for me is huge. The freedom, like Faith was saying, just that, first of all, the friendship, you know, but also the communication, being able to feel comfortable enough, because I'm not the kind of person that just opens up freely. And I would have to really, he would have to be such a person to kind of help guide me in that way. You know, I'm not putting all the responsibility on him, but just knowing that, you know, it's not going to be a turnoff for him if I don't, all of us, you know, just openly share everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that kind of, and then his willingness to do the same, you know, to open up, but to also, like Faith was saying, allow him to take the lead, which comes in place with submission too. But really, I want the relationship to be such that I have a high level of respect for him. And he, the same for me, that he respects who I am. And that when you, so he respects who I am and also wants to see me better.
Yes.
Someone who wants to see me improve and be the best Robin I can be, the best woman I can be, and then would welcome that from me as well. He would welcome me wanting that for him. So seeing the relationship as a kingdom, like you said, ministry, seeing the relationship as a kingdom relationship where we're building each other up, and knowing that what we have actually is a picture, an accurate picture of Jesus, of Christ and the bride in the church.
Yeah.
You know, so approaching it with that perspective, and really, gotta have a lot of love and all that intimacy and all that kind of stuff, you know. But like Dave was saying, that friendship, but building the foundation of a really solid relationship where communication is like, it's got to be there. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that was a number of things were on my list and some were not, but that is really important to me, for someone to, that we both want to see the best in one another. There's no competition. No competition.
Right. No competition. Yes.
No competition, right? You want to see the best in one another, celebrate that. And that as a marriage, you know, or while dating, we know that like there is purpose in that, in the union, but God does have things for us to do separately. And that you don't have to give those things up because you're in a marriage, that person wants to see you accomplish things that maybe has nothing to do with them.
That's right.
You know, it is just for you, and vice versa for him as well.
You don't have to change your identity.
Yes. Oh, Lord.
To emulate his identity, that you have yours, he has his, and then when you come together, that's where I think where God wants us to come together, where he used the relationship as a model.
That's right.
For others.
Yeah, it's like Faith, you were saying, when the two come together, you come together in the oneness of God, because you both have a heart for God, and that in itself is important. It's so important, and you know, when I think about my past relationships, you know, it wasn't always started out in a godly manner, because first of all, I wasn't there. where I need to be. And you said, you know, so the thing I think to consider here when it comes to a great relationship is, first of all, get you in order with God yourself. And that takes not blaming whatever was in the other relationship. Don't point fingers like you were saying, none of those things. If you're gonna point a finger at yourself and say, and get in a relationship with God, because it hadn't been the premise before. So if I'm doing this the other way, but now I want to allow the Spirit to lead me and be led by that. Absolutely. And get myself in the relationship. You know, the pinnacle of our creation that he gave us, he didn't give any other animal, was our mind. So he said, keep this mind on him. That ain't always been the case with me, because, you know, you say, I can do this, God, without you, or yada, yada, yada. Right. But when you fall flat on your face enough, you say, well, I need to go in a different direction. Amen. So I decided, this is a decision here, that I'm gonna follow you, God, wholeheartedly. Because what can I ask of somebody that I'm not? I'm asking for all of this and I'm not that. So what am I saying? The true relationship first need to be with him. Absolutely. Put him first. And you start to move in that direction. He start pouring love in your heart. And you see divine love as the center, the goal, and the energy. And so when you have those components going, then you want somebody else that have those similar components, because you can be able to dialogue with them, like Faith was saying, and meet, but you don't try to find you in that person. No. We both seek God, and you want the best for that person, and they want the best from you. Absolutely. And Cheryl, like I said, no competition. Why do we have to compete? Now we can help complete each other, but not compete. We don't have to. You know, and you start to build something that's bigger than both of you all, because the foundation is our Lord and Savior. And when you have that, I think you build a rhythm. You're able to talk. You're able to sit in a room and talk and dialogue and put things on the table. You want that feedback. You don't want a yes person. No, I don't need that. You know, you want to hear different. It's just like we come into this setting. We hear something different. You may say, I never thought of it that way. Exactly. Because we're enlightened to something new. Am I making sense here? Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, you know, we enlightened to something new. But again, it's growing that person in the things of God. And again, when you get to that point, what else can you get out of me if I'm full of the love of God? And I know what that looks like. I have an inkling of, because when I have God in the forefront, I can see it in another person. My vision is better because, again, I don't come from my feelings. I come from discernment. Amen. It's a product of the Spirit. And if your spirits are not connecting, then there must be a dead cat somewhere on the line, because it's not connected. It's not. Like mind and like spirit connect. And if it's not connecting, it's a disconnect. Absolutely. I mean, it's just like that. So, you know, I think that is just my thoughts when it comes to getting that relationship right. Get it right with God. And you have that within you. And you move it in that direction. And to me, that's very positive. And, you know, that's kind of my thoughts on that, Cheryl.
That's pretty awesome.
and before you move on,
Sure.
you know, it might not be love at first sight.
Mhm.
Mm. Mm.
I mean,
Yeah.
it might not be love at first sight. It might be that you like that person, because that was something that we kind of we dealt with a little bit about the differences, and we talked about it between, you know, loving, you know, because a lot of people use love very loosely, you know, and well, not loosely in a negative way, but I could just say for myself, I'm a very loving person.
Mhm.
I love everybody. You know, I really do extend
Yeah.
love, but that love is different from a love that's in a relationship, correct?
Mhm.
And so that's agape love, that's, you know, sister love, brotherly love, whatever you want to call that. But I've been in love, but I didn't like the person.
Mm. Mm. Been there.
And so, excuse me,
Mhm.
I rather like you and want to be with you, to be around you, to enjoy the company, to do things together, and then love will evolve.
Mhm.
I think I really believe that it will evolve, but it might not. You might even get married and it might not evolve yet. You know, you might just you like that you want that companionship, you want that. And I'm not saying that I'm just saying for me, I don't know if I'm gonna be in that type of fairy tale love that I grew up and said, oh, you know, I'm about to fall out. Oh, you know, faint, you know, because he comes in the room, you know. I mean, you know, we're in a different place. Most of us are mature on the line.
Yeah, yeah.
That might not happen on this second time go around. But you have to you just have to be in that space and be able to appreciate what you have, and know that it's right before God, that you know what that relationship is right before God, and that you enjoy each other and respect each other. You know, you're honest with each other, and that, you know, you want to see what's best for individually, so each other, and as far as the relationship, and you want to celebrate.
Yes.
You want to celebrate who God has grown you to be. You know, that partnership. And it might not be all good times. We've been through some hard times together, financially, walking through these situations with my son, you know, praying for one another, you know, and it was even to a point where I told him, I said, I wouldn't even want you to go. We don't want to go to that next level of the relationship, engagement, marriage, if I'm still dealing with my son and my grandchildren. That I don't want to bring somebody in this until God fix it to a point where I can move on.
Yeah.
Because I don't want all that on me. You know, all that baggage, the worry, all that family stuff. I don't even want that. That's not what I want.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when God moves and fixes something like that, you know that his hand is on it. Because it was a period of time where it wasn't getting fixed. And I still had to point at me in that as well. I mean, you know, God will do some things, but some things it's, you know, it's our responsibility to make it happen.
Right.
And so, you know, Cheryl, take the wheel. Go on. Take the wheel.
No, that's good. That's good. You know, I had this conversation on my show and with an older gentleman, and he said that more than likely girls grew up with the fantasy about relationships, you know, the fairy tale. And he said, think about, let's say when we were kids, and if you were those that dressed up in costumes, you know, that boys want to be Superman or Spider-Man and girls want to be princesses. He's like, you don't know of guys who wanted to be the prince in the Beauty and the Beast, you know, or one of those kinds of things, like it's that we think so completely different and we're prepared, you know, in very different ways. And so I think we all, as just, I think men too, romance is definitely to be a part of the equation, but just understanding that difference. Yeah, this list is good because it hit on a lot. I wanted to add too that I wanted to be proud of my mate.
Yes.
I want to be proud of him, you know, like, and be able to brag, you know, like my boo's all of that, right? You know, not like, here he come, he be getting on my nerves, you know, kind of thing, you know, because you see that a lot. And it's like, if you guys are best friends, if you're best friends, then you ain't talking about him when he ain't around, right?
Not
and you're not,
Yes.
like you are building, because you're best friends and you want to hold one another's secrets. I think another thing on here was that when you do, and Robin, I feel you in that openness and not wanting to, like, understanding that it takes time to open up. But that was one of the things the gentleman said. He said he don't want to know everything right away. He wants some mystique about that woman, and he want to be able to peel them layers back all the time and unwrap her all the time and know that it's more to her than even what he knows in that particular moment, that tomorrow it might be something new about her. We're getting close to running out of time, so I was wondering if there's anybody else that'd like to share, because we've done a lot of talking.
Well, I
hey Tamara.
Hi. Different how you say thoughts, but as I've done this before, but at the same time it had me reflecting back about how one of my first times I had, when you think about and you're praying about that mate, that person. And so I wrote the apostle that I was up under there, the apostle and his wife, which were blessed examples, because I would never have thought about getting married again after going through what I had experienced. But the thing is that they said, write down what you would like. Now, you know, you always got the worldly view, you got this list, but we said, no, we said, you know, pray about it. And what do you want in this man of God? What do you want in that marriage? So I wrote that list. And then once in a while, it'll pop up, it'll roll around, you know, I run across it. And that was back in 2009. And so I've written another one since then. I think I done read 3, but so I will, you know, because you're going to that moment, either a relationship class or you just have that moment, like, you know, vision, you know, what, and so if I run across the list, I'll compare. Have I changed? And so things have changed, because initially, I wasn't thinking about tithing, so I added tithing to my next list. So in 2014, I wanted him to be a tither, because I'm a tither. So I know that, you know, we're both on join on the same forces, you know, faith, you know, knowing that, you know, we stand on that word, and we both, we just know that tithing works, and being a giver, and another thing that I saw that I wanted, well, not just what I wanted, that I see in that relationship for future, is that I want to, well, the word says, be a hearer and a doer of the word of God. That went on my list. And that was in 2014. That went on my list. Not just saying, hearing it, and just going out the other ear, but really trying. I mean, you know, don't be perfect, because nobody's perfect except Jesus, but we just trying. And so, and even just and having that joy of the Lord, and to have that laughter, we can make each other laugh. So those things, and just,
Yeah.
and he's complete, I'm complete. I'm not coming in there, you know, like, okay, I'm weighed down, so I need you to lift me up. No, we need to be, you know, of course we're gonna be, you know, if somebody needs prayer, we're gonna be there for each other. Right. But not that I'm lacking something and that he's gonna be the one to fill it in. Well, what if he leaves it? I'm back down there? No, God gotta already have me feeling like I'm 100% in God, but yet he's still developing me every day. I'm still being molded, but yet our two visions, the vision that he put in me to do, he got a vision that's similar, and we're gonna be going on that same path, but my vision gonna help push him go higher in what he needs to do. And he gonna incorporate in pushing me, because that's what I've seen, you know, when I think of, the apostle and the husband and wife team, I call them a team, because they were a team, they are a team, that I was up under, and she didn't cook. And they were married for 17 years. She didn't cook. And he knew that, you know, and they got married, you know, probably in their 30, somewhere up in there. And, but yet they stepped into their ministry calling, and, you know, he decided, you know, she gonna stay at home because she used to work all the time, and they took on some other kids. They couldn't have kids initially for 10 years. They didn't have kids. So you talk about striving on faith, won't have kids, can't have kids, and all that. And then, but when it came down to him going to work, when he get home, she'll have the bath water running, and I'm like, but see, they had that sacrifice for each other. They weren't just like, you know what, I've been working, what you gonna do for me? No, she willingly. And when they would be in church, they would, if she wanted to say something, he said, honey, you got something to say? He'd be here, honey, in church. And then, you know, it just, it's that give and take openly relationship. And I see it in other ministries too. And that gave me faith that there are marriages that can work. And not all marriages have that. They can either like somebody so superior, you don't have no voice, you know, and but that was one thing. And another thing to encourage you too, is that there was this another couple, he was used to be a rockster, and he's a minister now, but he got saved. But his wife that he was married to, you know, she didn't want to be married to no pastor or, you know, a minister. So they got divorced. Well, he said about a few years later, not right away, it wasn't like a year later, 2 years, several years later, but he prayed while he was married. He would pray for his wife. He would pray this and this, but he said God answered his prayers later on with this wife that he's married. They've been married about 15 years now. But the thing is that he said, everything that I prayed for was in this wife. So he might not answered it in the wife that I was in, but just know that God hears your prayers. He may not give it to you because that might not be that person is not, I said, not the one. But God has a plan. So you're being preserved. I've always been told, you know, well, not always, but that pastor, the apostle said, you are being preserved for the one that God has for you. I'm like, oh my gosh, when he gonna wake him up? You know, but anyway, so but the thing is that I know God has one out there for me, and he got one for each person that's designated. And he's heard your prayers. He's molding that person to what needs to be right, and moving that stuff that needs to get out. That even when we run into them and they have a testimony of overcoming, then we're gonna respect that testimony of overcoming, because we don't overcome some things too. And it's not gonna be like they overcame last year. No, they overcome years ago. And so they don't, so we know they're not going to fall back, whatever their testimony is. So that's just sharing that. Those are the things that I've come to grow and learn and understand.
That's so true. Oh my God. Look, y'all better believe the word. Because let me tell you, I've gone to a season, I don't like to cook. Okay. I fed my kids, all that. I'm just not a big cooker. I don't go and think about recipes. Oh, what I'm gonna cook. No, that's not. I can eat a bowl of cereal, be happy. It's just me, right? So he doesn't even, his food, like most men, oh yeah, you gotta feed him. That's that old saying, to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Yeah.
He don't even care about that. Oh, I said, thank you, God. I started praying. I said, this is him. Like, he is so satisfied for anything. He said, well, I eat to live. I don't live to eat,
Right.
And so, he can have a piece of chicken, a little this and that, and he's satisfied. He doesn't have to have all that. So God knows exactly how to design him to fit you. Just like a glove. I'm telling you, he will fit you just like a glove, and you will know it because God knows you and you know you. And that was like one of the first things that that you feel in your spirit that this is one I truly believe that this is the one that we're going to that level. When you, like you were saying, Cheryl, you want to feel his heart, you want to know. When you start syncing up like that, like now I could tell, like yesterday he was off from work. I'm like, something, he's off today. I started thinking that because I could feel something in my spirit. And so I kept asking questions, and probing questions. And so then I said, are you at work today? And then he had to come clean and say, no, I'm off today. I was trying to surprise you. See, it's when you know something is, not saying anything was wrong, but you're sensing it. You sense, you pick it up.
Right. You know that person.
Yeah, you start to know that rhythm. You start to feel that rhythm, and something, something is off. And like today, he said, he did a post on Facebook, and he said, a man's success has a lot to do with the woman he chooses to have in his life. And that is so true, because we're valuable. We have the influence. We can make it or we can break it. By our own influence. So, but God knows. He does. And I think that don't look at the past relationships as negative. I think we should glean from those relationships, and like Cheryl was doing those really key assessing, what happened. Those are the things that God wants us to get, so we don't repeat, right? But even in some of the things that didn't go right, some things went okay. And to also take that in as well.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Anybody else? This is like perfect timing.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you do jump in, Latoya had added equally yoked on the list. I'm going to run down the list, but for those of you that came in really late, I just kind of started out with sharing how all of our meetings had really led me, to this particular point, and how much I appreciated Naomi coming in and talking about that waiting space, and how Robin really made me start looking at, the broken pieces, like piece by piece by piece, to see what the patterns, what their cycles, what was I repeating, what time I was not taking with myself, those kind of areas. And so like I was there, but really trying to hear God, like be still, hear God, and know, like that is something that I am still working on. So I just thought, like, if we came together, and it really, really is amazing, because there were things that you guys shared that I didn't have on my list. So I hope that it really blessed everyone, because it really did bless me. And I just want to run down the list, and then we'll close out. Just some of the things that's on the list, just to hear, like, collectively, when we come together, like, what, so amazing. But anyway, put God first. God hears our prayers, and that God is designing someone just for you. And qualities we're looking for is emotional availability. Having that person, of course, having a spiritual relationship, having the ability to be vulnerable, honoring one another, understanding that the marriage and the relationship is ministry, having really good conversations, being able to pray together. Hopefully they have great relationships with, the people around them, that we got to trust God's timing. Even with dating, friendship, getting to know one another, trust the timing, not to be in a hurry. That friends, it's important to have a strong friendship, that understand that even while you're dating, engaged, married, that there's going to be tests. That we need to trust the process. That, and this was on my list, and I think this was something that Naomi sent me, that man needs to have some vision, ladies.
Yes.
That man got to have some vision
Yeah.
for everything, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he got to have a vision.
Yeah.
Don't submit to a man that ain't got no vision. Right?
Yeah.
Bad English, but it's the truth.
Yes. Yeah.
That you are clear about, that you have submitted to God, and there's clarity about what he has for you as for a relationship and yourself individually. The ability to obey was the instructions that he gives us, regardless of what step we're in the relationship. To be able to wait while we're waiting, have God working on us, and to be able to wait. That we trust enough, that there's trust in the relationship, and that there is trust to submit, because a woman will submit if she trusts that man.
Yeah.
And if security, right, she will trust, she will submit. The openness to share, because that was on my list too. You don't want your past hurts and pain to be thrown up in your face.
Right.
You reveal very deep parts of your life, that there's mutual respect, that as a couple, you want to see one another be the best that they can possibly be, that you don't have to lose your identity, that you are building something bigger than what you see at that particular moment. And that's actually daily. Joe, you said you talked about discernment. I like when you said, if there's no connection, there should be a disconnection. That's bam. You just like, bam. It may not be love at first sight. That's powerful. That's really, really powerful.
Yes.
You want to like the person.
Yes.
Right? And that love can surface out of liking and just being friends. Appreciating the child of God that they are encountering, right? Companionship, just enjoying one another's company, being honest, celebrating one another and who they are today. And I would say even celebrating being together.
Yeah.
You know, like at this stage in our lives, we should be trying so hard to be good to each other. It's not time for all of that other
Yes.
drama and stuff. We should be like
That's
knocking each other
Come
over,
on,
like, I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to be good. No, I'm trying to be good. It's like,
yeah.
okay, let's be good at the same time, right?
Right?
But we should
that's
just
right.
be loving each other. We ain't got
Yeah.
time for all that other stuff that we
All
used
the
to be.
negative
Yes.
small stuff.
Right, right.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
That's
Not
right.
at all. Know when
Mhm.
God's hand is present, which goes along with the discernment. I just put on here, I want a fearless man. I want a man that know who he is.
Yes.
You know, that kind of man that walk into a room and he ain't got to say nothing, and everybody go, "Who is that?" Because his presence,
Mhm.
his confidence, right?
Yeah. Yes.
That he feels deserving to have a good woman, because right. I have equally yoked, a hearer and doer of God's word, a tither. That was not on my
Right.
list. Laughter and being able to enjoy one another company, which goes with companionship.
Yeah.
And that, I think I said this, that God knows. And I guess that'd be the way to end it. Like, God knows exactly how to design that mate. So if you don't cook, you don't clean well, you don't wash, your car might be junky, you know, all these things that we were taught that would be used against us, and some men might walk away because your car too junky. If he love you, he gonna clean up your car. You know what I mean? Like, he gonna have no problem with it, right?
Right.
So anyway, I thank you all for trusting me in this space to share. Trusting me with going along with something I've never done, but is what God put on my heart. I thank you for listening to my journey in this process. And I want to thank you for all the encouragement, because I received so much encouragement. I want to thank Marilyn. I know she's not here, but I want to thank her for continuously taking a chance on me. And next week, I'm sorry, I'm totally blank. Who's next week? You guys remember?
I think, well,
I
next
have it in
week,
front
You
of me
and
because
Joe.
and Joe.
It's both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's who? It's Joe and
And Faith.
Faith. Okay. And so you guys are talking about
Well, we have kind of come together, and we've got some notes together. I don't want to say the topic yet.
okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, because we might change the title. I don't know. I just don't want to say it yet, because you know, God might say something different, but we're gonna have something. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of gonna weekend. But you know, I think it's just how everything has really flown together. Everyone's topics has really piggybacked off the last person. You know, that waiting and the broken pieces, and now, you know, the healthy part of creating a vision. So I'm more than excited to see what you guys are going to talk about next week.
Excuse me.
Yes.
So could I speak to something before
Sure.
we call it a night? You know,
Absolutely.
it was a part, and this is going back to the man. It's a part in Roots where Chicken George's mother, who was dating Richard Roundtree, and he was, you know, he was a driver for this prestigious person. And she liked him, and a whole lot of other women liked him, of course. And he wanted to marry her. But she decided not to marry him for this reason. She said he didn't know who he was, and he had no plan for the future. Because Chicken George asked him, Mom, why you didn't marry? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. He said he didn't know who he was, and he had no plan for the future. I thought that was powerful. And in that, fast forward, you said a person should have some plan of action.
Absolutely.
If you don't, where are you going to stay? Where you are? That's stagnation for no reason at all. I mean, gosh, we are built by our Heavenly Father, our divine self, to grow. We're His highest form in the image of our Lord and Savior. Growth is the only evidence of life. And we're designed to grow, whether it's together or even apart. But coming together with that oneness is very powerful. And I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Okay. Growing together, absolutely, in oneness. And you know what? I want to say this too, as to just another thing to put on the list, that even once you marry that awesome person that God sends you, that you got to keep that relationship alive. And there's nothing wrong with coming together and coming together, one, and revisiting the vision that you guys have for the relationship and doing that check-in, make sure like, okay, you know, because we're still growing while we're in a relationship, right? So we need to check in with one another and make sure, like, am I still, you know, feeding you, helping you, supporting you, loving you in the way that you need, and having the humility if that person says, hey, you know, I'm no longer, I'm an empty nester now and I don't have to raise my kids. So there's a new area of my life, or just life just changes, you know, or that you may be taking care of parents, or you just never know with your life changing what you may need. And so I think that you need to continue to like make that commitment to one another to always revisit your vision for your relationship.
That's right.
Cheryl, I just want to end with this, and you can take it on out, but something that happened to me, well, it continues to happen, but sometimes the Lord will urge me to write. And so when I was living in Washington, D.C. area, I would take the metro into work in the morning and go home in the evening. So one morning I was on the subway or on the metro, and he gave me a poem. And this was back in 2010. And I just want to share this with you all, since you're my family. I just want to share it with you. And it says, one day a man came into my life who displayed character and signified integrity. Who's that man? That man loves God. He provides for his family. He loves to make his woman happy. He's a strong and mighty warrior. He honors his woman. Who's that man? He is my man, and I'm proud of him. He keeps me in balance. He celebrates who I am and who I am becoming. His heart is pure as gold. Is he perfect? Nobody is perfect, but he's striving for perfection. Who's that man? He's my man. And so I wrote that in 2010. It's 2020. And I think he just got here, right? But what I'm saying is that your vision could be so creative. It doesn't have to be a certain way. It's an inspiration. And it could be a poem. It could be, you know, the words that we wrote down tonight. But capture your vision and hold on to it. Yes. You know, it was in my phone, you know, it's in notes, you know, I was writing it, and just hold on to it, because, you know, the vision is for a point in time. And by faith, we're going to see it. It will happen, right? But we
Okay.
got to write the vision, make a plan. He didn't say how you got to write it. He didn't say if you, it could be pictorial. He didn't say, he just said, write the vision. And I think in any vice, how we write it or how we document it is perfectly fine. But, you know, that's what happened to me. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
That is really beautiful. And I'm an
That was
artist.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an artist. So that's on my list. That's something on my list that wasn't on my list before, is that I need to be with a creative man. So they can understand my creativity. That is important. Because
stymie. Yeah.
Yes.
Continue.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, that's it. This is absolutely perfect. Thank you guys so much. I hope it blessed you. It blessed me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl, for your pour.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Y'all have a blessed rest of the week, okay?
Okay.
All right, you
Good
too.
night, Tracy.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Robin, Faith, Toya, Tamara. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
This was good.
It was very good. Good night.
Good night.
I think I need to stop. Do I need to stop?